Hello everyone, welcome back to YK Reviews. Now today on the channel we'll be discussing and reviewing the movie The Lost City, which came out earlier this year. It's been on my watch list for a while and I didn't get a chance to see it until last week. So this is my thoughts and my take on it, but before we get started, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. Appreciate all the support coming here. So this is my take on the movie The Lost City, starring Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum, Brad Pitt and Daniel Radcliffe as like the villain. And with Lost City, so essentially the plot of the movie is Sandra Bullock is a writer. She writes like these erotic novels with like the main star of the novels, Channing Tatum, but essentially she gets kidnapped by this billionaire villain who is played by Daniel Radcliffe, because he's looking for this lost treasure in this specific island there. So he like kidnaps her and Channing Tatum, who's kind of like a goof and is only being seen as like this this model cover star of an erotic book. So basically he's trying to prove himself and prove to her that like, he's somebody, he can be a hero in real life essentially. So the plot just sets out in motion where it's Sandra Bullock is kind of like fed up with like these book tours, kind of fed up of just being like overshadowed and that kind of stuff. So then in one of the book tour press releases, she kind of, as she's like leaving this hotel and stuff, she gets kidnapped by Daniel Radcliffe's henchman, and then gets kidnapped and gets taken to this island there. The plot itself I thought had a good premise. I thought it would be a unique take, but to be honest I didn't know what I was expecting. Like I see these actors and actresses who have starred in some great movies, so you think that like the movie's gonna be like a great romantic comedy kind of stuff, but with a little bit of action to it. So then once the plot like progresses and like they go to this island to try and like capture the treasure, having Channing Tatum meet up with Brad Pitt to try and rescue her, it kind of felt like this typical it kind of just felt like this typical like romantic comedy type movies there. Because in terms of Brad Pitt, I thought he was going to be in the movie a lot more, but he kind of was played for comedy, like rescuing the damsel in distress, but then spoiler alert, getting killed within like 10 minutes of like the movie. So I was kind of disappointed because I thought we would see more of him. But then as the plot progresses, it is just it is like a typical like Channing Tatum is like has like feelings for her. They start like having feelings for each other as they go through the jungle and getting away from like Daniel like Radcliffe's henchmen and all that kind of stuff. They start realizing that they aren't just like those stereotypes that like everybody makes them out to be, with Channing Tatum just like this no brains, just muscles kind of person, and Sandra Bullock is just like the writer who doesn't have like a social life kind of stuff. But then they like start getting to know each other, start having feelings for each other, start picking out leeches from Channing Tatum's butt. And so it was just like this typical, like I said, I didn't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting just like those typical like rom-com kind of like movies for it. And so as they're like progressing through the movie, as they're progressing through the forest, a quick side note on that, like I feel like the CGI or the visual effects for certain scenes when they're in the forest, I don't know, it just didn't look that great to me. It looked very wonky and didn't come across well on screen. It looked very displaced, I would say. So it kind of feels like they weren't in the forest. It didn't look like they were in the forest. It looked like they were in like this background with like a painting or something. Like it just felt very off in certain scenes. So I'm not sure what happened there with the visual effects, but that aside, Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock, as they're like progressing throughout the forest, they like find a place where they can call the police to try and like be rescued, only to like get kidnapped again. So it was predictable, but it wasn't. It was entertaining, but it was predictable, but it wasn't like what it could have been. Like, the premise of the movie is you have an author getting kidnapped by this billionaire, and you have like the cover star model trying to rescue her. So you could have gone with so many different routes. I just felt like they went with like the typical one. And then when it comes to like Daniel Radcliffe's character, I just feel like you're always going to see him as Harry Potter for me. Like, I'm always going to see him as, this is Harry Potter, this is the boy who faced off with Voldemort. Like, I'm always going to see him like that. But I have seen like some of his other projects, some of his other movies, and I thought he did quite well. But for me, in this movie, if you've seen Now You See Me Part 2, it's kind of like a copy and paste villain from that. He's essentially like this billionaire who wants to get his way, and he's kind of like a weak villain, not in terms of strength and that kind of stuff, but it just kind of like a kid throwing his toys out the pram, basically. He's that kind of villain, so he wasn't like threatening or anything like that. It's just like throwing a tantrum most of the movie, and it's similar to like how he was in Now You See Me Part 2. He's that kind of stuff. It's essentially where it's like, if you see that kid where he's like, daddy I want this, daddy I want that, I want it now kind of thing, that's the kind of villain he wants. So it just didn't hold up well with like the typical plot that they're going with this rom-com movie. So that just left me underwhelmed, because towards the end, then once they find the treasure and all that kind of stuff, because they eventually do find it, it's kind of like he does take the mickey a little bit with them, which there was some like little funny scenes here and there with that. But then it's kind of that typical like, do what I say, I have the gun, like I'm the big bad guy, and then towards the end he just gets arrested because like this Coast Guard comes and like sees him and sees like Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock in this like little island, so he gets arrested because they expose him for like how old he is. But they just could have done so much more. Like, I feel like you have Brad Pitt, you have Daniel Radcliffe, like they just were so underutilized in this movie. And then you have the storyline with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum that was underutilized too, because it was just like one of those typical like romantic comedy like storylines with the two of them. Like there were a little bit of funny scenes in the movie itself, but I just feel like I wanted more. I wanted more from the movie, especially like they're in like a island, they're looking for like treasure. I guess I was expecting some kind of like Indiana Jones type, mummy type kind of like plot line. I'm guessing some kind of like little action scenes that were better than what was given to us. So it just kind of left me like disappointed. And I read the premise of the movie and initially, so I was excited to see what this movie was going to bring, but then the poster and everything about it that came out kind of like just pushed it back a little bit for me, which is why I didn't see it straight away, and which is why I didn't watch it until now. But if you haven't seen it, like if you do like those rom-com movies, if you like are with your partner and you want to like watch something in the evening, I would definitely put this on. But if you were looking at the premise and if you saw the plot and you were expecting more, I feel like you would be left disappointed. So I would definitely give that a miss. But if you have like nothing to watch and you want to put something on, if you do like Channing Tatum, if you do like Sandra Bullock, you definitely just put this on. But if you're like thinking, should I watch this movie, should I not, depends on your taste. But like I said, I would give it a miss, to be honest with you. But this is like my take and my thoughts on the movie The Lost City. If you have seen the movie, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Let me know what your opinions are, like if you were left disappointed, if you enjoyed the movie, what you liked about the movie. hit it in the comment section down below. And also, if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any types of videos. I will be posting a tier list of all the movies and shows and games I've reviewed so far, so keep an eye out on that on the channel in the next week. But again, thank you so much for watching. Also, if you haven't yet, I do have a Twitter account, link is in the description down below. So if you haven't followed me yet, hit the follow button. You'll also never miss like when I post a video, as I'll also be updating regularly on there. Again, thank you so much for the support though. This is YK Reviews. Peace.